Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-888-88-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. That's me, along with Barry the Boater and Mike the Mariner. Yes, we got the original crew rounding out finally together for the first time in a few weeks. Mike's been relatively active out on his boat, and we got to catch up with him, but it's glad to finally get over the skeleton crew type of thing that we've had going the last few weeks. So, Mike, welcome back, and
thank you.
Should I just apologize right up front before we catch up and stuff?
What, for having me on camera?
No, for the fact that you have to deal with Barry. And well, and I guess a little bit of me.
Haven't said a word yet. He's already shots off the bow. Okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just what we do. That means we care for our fellow crew members. We bust their balls like that. Anywho, we got the original crew back. And you've been, down in the Keys? You've been moving, headquarters, kind of all of the above, right? Just scattered like a maniac,
it's been complete chaos, but good chaos. Yeah. We had a great trip down in the Keys. We, as you know, I think we talked on an earlier show that I moved my dad's boat down there and for the month of July. And various family members came, floated in and floated out for stays during the month with my parents, and then moved the boat back on August 2nd.
Yeah.
And great trip. Really had a great time.
Yeah. So, the family got wind that you were down there with a boat, so everybody and their brother started visiting. That's usually how it works.
Yeah, that's planned every year.
Yeah, okay.
We do that every year.
Right.
Yeah, we rent the same house every year, and it's big enough for lots of family members to come down. The boat is right behind the house. There's it's on a canal there near Port Largo.
Yeah,
and so we do fishing and some snorkeling. We didn't do any diving this year.
No diving, but did you snorkel for lobster?
Yes, we did.
Of the season. So how did you do?
We did okay. We didn't.
But you limited out on the radio.
We limited out on the radio.
Yes, okay.
But we might not have limited out on the boat.
Gotcha. But you just did it snorkeling, though, huh? You didn't put on a tank? You didn't need to down there in the Keys?
No, we were in shallow water up on the north end, off Key Largo. So it's pretty shallow, lots of coral heads out there, between like Elbow and Carey's Fort Reef, that stretch of water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's
you can do that. You just got to look for the antenna and make a quick dive.
Yeah.
Right.
And even better if you have a weight belt on with maybe 2 or 4 pounds of weight.
Yeah. Were you even bothering with that free diving? Were you doing that kind of thing? Or
no, we were
snorkeling?
in. It was really, the deepest water was 12 feet, and we can do that free diving with no problem. We've got several people in the family that are pretty good swimmers.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, when I go down to the Keys for lobstering, and I know they kind of frown on this to a certain extent. You got to be careful where you are if you even attempt this. But there was a couple times I've been down to the Keys in particular where you just go on like, those houses on the intercoastals, and they'll have their dock right there. And and they literally will jump off their dock, and there'll be these little cracks under the dock in the intercoastal areas, and the lobsters love them.
Oh, the canals down there are full of lobsters.
Yes,
but it's illegal to harvest them there.
Right, right. It kind of depends. Well, there are certain spots here and there, but technically you got to be very careful on. You can't be in a main waterway. But there was a couple people I went down and visited one time, and they said, "Oh yeah, we can go right over here and do this." And it was kind of like, kind of an offshoot of the intercoastal. It would just right before it would open up to the main waterway, and it wasn't a navigable. Well, it wasn't a
there
area
are canals down there.
Yeah. But you got to be very careful. You got to, and the property owners don't like that unless you know them. It's their property, I guess, too.
Yeah.
But man, the lobsters love that habitat. And I was shocked. I was like, you just jump right off the dock and you look, and you're like, oh my God, look at all those antennas. They're hanging out right here.
Yeah.
I could have reached around from the top of the dock and grabbed these little boogers, and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, where we are, the limit's 3 miles off the shore, so you can't harvest any lobster inshore of the 3 mile line. And so, that's in the upper Keys. Now down in the lower Keys, you can lobster in the channels between the islands under the bridges, and that's so you don't have to go far out. But where we are, and we've traditionally done this, we've got lots of numbers on our GPS, lots of spots that we've marked, and so we've got plenty of places to pick and choose from.
Well, and once again, the disclaimer is make sure you know what the local rules and laws are.
Yes.
Don't just jump in there because Florida Wildlife Commission, man, they are watching. Season is open now, and they actually have their own YouTube channel where they sit there and chastise these lobster catchers that think they're not doing anything wrong, and then they're really polite, and they come up on them, they check their catch, and then they realize like, hey, they got some smalls, they got some with and they were just basically ignorant. They weren't doing it intentionally, like poachers. But guess what? They still get fined like thousands of dollars, and it will ruin your boating outing if you don't know the local rules and regulations. Barry,
there was a time before I don't know if they finished all of the Keys where they put in actual sewage systems, but everyone had septic systems, and they all drained into those canals. So, you wouldn't necessarily want to eat a lobster that's been sitting around in that water.
Well, I guess it depends on the water.
That was many years ago. That was many years ago, though, right?
Yeah, but people, I'm sure, still did it back then, didn't think about it.
Well, I'm sure it happens today. I mean, there's some outflow pipes there out in South Florida where you are.
The Hollywood outflow, yes.
And
that's a famous one.
That is a big area for fishing and lobstering. Like in the gag, or I don't know, the joke among some of the operators that have the tourists come in. I've heard this. I don't know if it's totally true, but it sounds, hey, it's a good story. As like if they take them out and they're having a tough time finding the lobsters, they're like, okay, let's take them out to the outflow pipe. They won't know, but they'll find tons of them, and they'll be happy, and they caught some lobsters.
Oh, you can tell because it smells.
Exactly.
You can see the water is actually moving in that area. The birds are all flying around.
Like, what's that smell?
Smorgasbord.
Man, dude, you got serious BO. What is up with that? And it goes, but it's the same for the fishermen. I mean, the fish are attracted to that area too for the same reason.
Yeah.
But
well, it's bad when you catch a lobster that has feathers. Then you're in bad water.
Right, or a third antenna, or
That's only near the nuclear plant down in Kendall there.
Well,
Turkey
I don't know. I mean, some of that outflow stuff, you have no idea what's in it. But yeah, that is one of the gags. So
there was some big news, and I don't know if it was covered while I was away, but we were down there when this happened. There was a guy that got in trouble for turning off a brownie.
Oh yeah,
you did hear about that.
Yeah.
I was there. I was in the area. I heard about it. Everybody in the Keys was talking about it. We stopped at a restaurant, grabbed a beer and a burger, and the bartender was saying, "Did you hear about this idiot? It happened right out there." And we did hear about it, and then it happened again up near Biscayne Bay about a week later.
So this is a second time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a separate one.
Wait, where did you get the beer and burger? What was the restaurant?
We went to.
He's hungry, obviously.
Oh gosh, Wahoo's.
Oh yeah,
we've eaten there. That's a good one.
All right.
Yeah, we like Wahoo's. We have to do a pilgrimage to Wahoo's every year.
Yeah. Well, I'm not aware of the other one other than Key Biscayne. We talked about that whole brownies incident where the guy's accused of turning off the surface supplied air source of these other, and he totally denies it. He said kind of story, but it went viral because it's typical fishermen, lobstering folks fighting over spots. But you're saying there was another one down in the Keys.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll have to check into that and see what's up. Maybe see if there's a way we should address those situations better. That's coming up next on The World of Boating.
listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Be an explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 PSI left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Welcome aboard. I will be your captain. You'll be my scallywags. I don't know what that means, but you will be them. And here's how we play.
Thank you for your attention and welcome aboard.
Let's go.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Barry the Boater, Mike the Mariner rounded out the crew. Okay, so I just asked Skipper AI, were there two incidents where a diver accused the other of turning their air off during lobster season? She says no, and I can't find anything else Googling it either. So I have a feeling the thing you're referring to, Mike, your buddies, yeah, they might have got mixed up because that one situation where the guys were using a surface supplied air system, Brownie's third lung, as we like to call them. They one group accused the other group or captain of turning it off, and of course he denies it. It's a he said kind of story. It went viral all across the country. We talked quite a bit about it on our scuba radio show, but as we mentioned it on this show, it's really it's one of those kind of stories where you're just talking to territorial rights, or hey, don't infringe on my fishing spot. I was here first,
no,
and then it got out of
thing.
Got out
well, I heard,
control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I did hear there was a video associated with it.
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm. So there were like 3 people on a boat that pulled right up next to people that were already on a lobster spot.
Allegedly,
yes,
that's what happened. Okay. And then they dove for about a hour. The first group was a little agitated that they showed up, but they went down. They dove for an hour, and then when they came up, they're all together because they had been bunched up together, and words were said, and next thing one of the guy who was running his surface supplied air source, that boat, was yelling at the other guy saying, "You're too close. Don't touch my Brownie's third lung." And next thing you know, it goes dead, and he accuses them of turning it off. And the first guy, I never did that. So who knows what the truth is, but obviously they were too close to each other. And
sure. I mean, if you've got a dive flag up and you're anchored and you're there,
300
no one
feet.
should come within 300 feet.
That's right.
And
that's what it's supposed to be.
What I heard is the boat was maybe 40 feet or 50 feet.
They were way too close to each other. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Whether they, were technically breaking any rules in that regard, you're supposed to maintain 300 feet away from a dive flag. And if you're not, you have to be idling for sure. But for an event like a lobster mini season where you have a lot of boats and a lot of divers in the water, I mean, there's no reason to get on top of each other like that. I mean, of course, there's only so many spots where the lobsters are, but it's a big ocean, and I think that they just got too close. And when it gets heated like that, just like in a fishing tournament, you see this all happening quite a bit during like bass fishing tournaments. The guys take their little flats boats out in like 70 miles per hour, and the whole key is getting to their best spot at the beginning of the tournament. And next thing you know, they get there, they throw their line, and here comes some guy up, 20 minutes later and starts throwing, across your line or really close. And you can understand why the first guy might be a little annoyed, right? And,
absolutely.
So, I mean, does he own that spot because he was there first? No, not technically, but, there's boating etiquette and fishing etiquette. And, if, the thing is with that kind of stuff, especially in today's culture, you get on the water Karen, or you just get, personalities that clash. You're just asking for it. So,
Yes.
I think, this is one of those scenarios where, who knows who did what, if he really turned off the air. It really doesn't matter to me. I was like, they were just too close to each other. And if either one of them had any sense, they would have not put themselves in that situation, or as soon as it got heated, bow out. And generally, I mean, it would be the second person. If you showed up late, you're the one who should bail, but I don't know. I mean, it's anything.
Well, I will tell you, I saw, this year there were a lot of boats out, and I did see boats that I felt were moving too close to boats that had dive flags up, moving slow. They weren't running through at speed or anything.
Right.
But I was uncomfortable with a few close passes that I saw. None happened to us.
Right.
But
but it's gonna happen. You got people that just really don't know what the rules are because they haven't been out on their boat in a long time, or maybe this is their first lobster mini season or whatever. I mean, this is one of those scenarios where a lot of potential problems can arise. Now, luckily, this year, generally diving wise, we have a couple deaths a day, or a season for a mini season, the 2-day mini season. It averages 2 divers die every year. This year, it was 0. Now, we had this incident where somebody was accused of turning off a diver's air supply, which is kind of crazy, and that's why the story went viral. But we actually, this was a very safe season, but it's usually because the conditions are bad and people get in beyond their, training, or, the boater wasn't paying attention, like you said, and they got too close to some divers and boating a diver in the water. The diver's usually not going to win in that scenario, regardless.
We did hear a distress signal, a distress call from a boat, and then the Coast Guard broadcast it, and it was 3 divers that got separated from their boat. And
yes, that was in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was maybe 3 miles from us.
Yeah,
that was just north of where we were.
Right.
So, Mike mentioned something about you see people that were diving near bridges and all that. According to what I read and what I'm reading right now, after 9/11, they said you can no longer anchor or do things around bridges. You're supposed to keep, you can go through them, but you're not supposed to hang out there.
Well, it depends on the local ordinances and where you're at.
Well, this is Coast Guard.
Yeah.
This is in the lower Keys. Maybe not under the bridges, but in the
it says
in the channels between the islands.
The pilings,
that's a different story. It says do not stop or anchor beneath bridges or in shipping channels. If you do, expect to be boarded.
Yeah, these aren't shipping channels, though. I'm talking about the channels that are in between the islands down in the lower Keys.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Right.
But you can't. I would see people around the pilings at bridges. You're not supposed to be there anymore.
Right.
And I've seen them down here near Haulover. There's a few bridges in that area, and you would see people fishing, like where the I forget the name of not the Broad Causeway, one of the causeways. They're fishing right there. and then you see FWC come up and have a talk with him, and then the boat leaves. So yeah, you're supposed to stay away from the bridges now.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you just got to know whatever the local ordinances are.
No,
make
the
sure
Coast
you know
Guard
them.
trumps local ordinances every time.
Okay.
The local ordinances can be tougher, like the lobster thing, where you can't lobster at nighttime in Monroe County. But you can in Dade County. You can everywhere else.
Right.
But Monroe has a tougher law as far as that's concerned.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's state or federal. What I'm saying, know what the laws are. In your area. That goes for anything, fishing, lobstering, whatever the case may be. I don't know what the specifics are, or if there's any loopholes here and there, which there might be. Never know. But
no, unless you use a tickle stick and a net, is no looping.
There is plenty of looping allowed.
No looping.
That's just a personal preference.
Right.
Barry, the boater / bugger, we like to call him when he's going for the lobsters. Okay. I digress, and we'll get back on track next on The World of Boating.
To the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 PSI left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Look! Here comes a boat! Really? Oh, it's about time! On this boat.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. That is me, along with Barry the Boater and Mike the Mariner. Okay, so Mike just got back from the Keys. We've caught up on a few stories. Lobstering. He limited it out on the radio. And so we'll just stick to that story and make up some other fishing tale to cover his arse.
Tell us about the trip up and down.
Yeah, coming back. Yeah, once you had your experience there on the boat, you did lobstering, did some fishing, that kind of thing, and experienced the Keys. But then you trekked back. And was it as smooth sailing as it was on the way down?
It was actually smoother, believe it or not.
Really?
And now it was a slightly different trip. Now going down, we stay close to shore, maybe 3 to 5 miles at the most offshore.
Yeah.
To stay on the inside of the Gulf Stream, so we're not working against the current. So when you're going down, you cross, you go to Government Cut in Miami, cross Government Cut, and then hit the Hawk Channel that takes you down on the inside of the reef system, down along Key Biscayne and then Key Largo.
Okay.
Now going back, you want to use the Gulf Stream. So what we do is when we leave, we head towards Elbow Key, which is just south of Carey's Fort, and you cross just to the north of Elbow Key, and then pop out about 10 miles, and just make a wide arc, and you capture 4 free knots going north, and but the weather was fantastic. There was no wind. The water was glassy, and we made the 200-mile trip in 5 hours flat, which if you do the math, that's averaging 40 miles an hour.
40 miles an hour, yeah.
Right. Well, how did that compare to going down? I mean, because you zipped down pretty quick on the way down, if I remember correctly, too, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit slower, and we burned a little bit more fuel going down. I'm not exactly sure why. Sometimes maybe we caught some of the eddies, and of course, when you get towards Fort Lauderdale, you really can't miss the Gulf Stream. No matter where you are, the Gulf Stream's right off the beach. So
was the route shorter going down versus going?
Well, you don't have to go as far offshore, I guess. So you might save a little bit of distance that way, right? Maybe
it was about 181 miles going down, and it was exactly 200 miles coming back.
Okay,
on the route.
But you had the Gulf Stream at your back, and that was it actually helped with the fuel consumption.
I burned the numbers are amazing. So exactly 5 hours, 40 miles an hour, 1 mile per gallon. And when I did the fuel check on the computer back at the dock in Fort Pierce, I burned 197 gallons of gas.
Wow.
So I was 3 gallons off of exactly 1 mile per gallon.
That was coming up.
No, that was coming up from Key Largo.
So what was it? Yeah, what was it going down then?
Going down, we burned more than 200 gallons, about 214 gallons.
But the distance was less.
Longer. Yeah.
The distance was less.
It was less. It was 19 miles less.
Yes.
Right. Coming back up, it was longer by like 20 miles, you said.
Yeah,
but you still burned less fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the Gulf Stream.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, see, the Gulf Stream curves in and is really close to shore off of Fort Lauderdale for a stretch of about 20 miles.
Right.
So for about 20 miles, I'm working against a 4-knot current.
Yeah.
Whereas when we were coming back out, even though I went further and popped out at Elbow Reef and then turned, kind of in a wide arc to the north, I had 4 free knots and I was clearly going faster. I mean, going down, my average was about 36 miles an hour, right? Or 34 knots.
Yeah,
35 knots. Coming back up, I was dead on 40 just about the whole way back, and it was.
Do you keep track of your RPMs on the engines to see if you're pushing them a little harder or not?
Well, so this particular boat has 3 Yamaha 350s,
right?
And we run it at about 4,200 RPMs.
So you would definitely saw it when you were heading back north, that for the same RPM you were making better time and faster speed.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
the same RPMs.
That RPM, what is that, about 70% maybe of max?
I think
cruising speed?
I think I've only maxed that boat out one time, and I think I got 5,200 RPMs out of it, or 5,800 RPMs. I can't remember exactly because it did it one time like 6 years ago.
Right. Okay.
But we try not to firewall it that much anymore. But
right. But generally, you're going to run around 70% if you're operating efficiently at a cruise speed, right, without going nuts. Yeah, isn't that the general rule of thumb?
Yeah.
Barry's looking at me like, no. Yeah, well, you don't operate your vessel that way?
I operate at 4,000 RPM. I'm on plane and I'm going smooth. If I take it up to, it top ends around 5,800.
Yeah.
Let's say 5,800. So
it's going to be about 75%.
But I burn more fuel. I could see it much better around 4,000 RPM.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. That sweet spot.
It's Barry is 70%. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's the general rule of thumb, pretty much for most boats in that category, isn't it? That's where you want to operate.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you should always read your propulsion systems manuals and make sure that you're operating within those parameters. Because, like for instance, on my boat, which is a diesel, I have a maximum rated RPM, and then I have a maximum operating RPM, which is, you can run it at 3,000 RPMs, but don't do it long.
Right.
Okay.
Really. So I can run 3,000 RPMs on my diesels, but my normal operating RPM is 25 to 2,600.
Yeah. You want to keep some headroom in there, Barry, because, say you're cruising along, and it's just good for the engines too, but you're cruising along and say all of a sudden some kind of like a robo shark comes out and starts chasing you. You want to have a few extra, RPMs in there to kind of break away.
Right.
You don't want to be totally maxed out. You want to have it just a little more.
How about you don't want to have to put a new engine in after a few years?
Well, that's why you operate at that. But it's mostly for engine maintenance.
You don't run your car like that either. I mean, but it's nice because the car has a transmission and it keeps downshifting as you accelerate.
Yeah,
or upshifting.
You want the extra oomph if you want to keep it in reserve just in case.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't do that with diesels. Do they have like a transmission because diesels generally have a very slow, they go maybe 2,500 RPM, but if you want to turn the prop a little faster.
Most don't, but there are 2-speed transmissions on boats.
Really?
Yes, there are, but they're not very common. I've seen some very high-end sport fish boats that have 2-speed transmissions, but basically with a diesel, you ride the torque curve, so you have a much bigger prop, and so that's you don't really need a 2-speed transmission in most applications. Mm-hmm. But I have seen 2-speed transmissions on boats before.
I don't think it really matters if you go with the Gulfstream. I mean, were you tempted when you got back up to Central Florida, like, hey, we're making such good time and speed and engine efficiency and fuel. Let's just go to, I don't know, where would the Gulfstream take you if you kept cruising with it? Where would
England?
England?
Well,
okay.
The further north you go, the further offshore you have to go to stay in the Gulfstream, because the Gulfstream up, Daytona, Jacksonville, then you're 40 miles offshore.
I mean, but is there like a Gulfstream loop that you could do and have let's just take the loop around? And we'll get up through Europe, and then we'll come back up through the Keys or wherever the hell it goes. I don't know. I don't know where it goes. I forget. I got to look at the current map.
Yeah, I think it goes up to England, Scotland, and then there's another current that goes down the coast of Africa.
They go all over the place. It'd be a good tour, wouldn't it? Yeah.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network. Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
What is your problem? We had something. I felt it. I felt it on the bow, I felt it on the stern, then a few more times on the bow, then the stern again. Then you flipped me over onto my starboard side. I even tried aft for the first time. I'm on a
boat. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Barry the Boater, Mike the Mariner rounding out the crew. Okay, so I asked Skipper AI, and the Gulfstream is not a closed loop, but you're right. Yeah, it would take you up north, out deeper into deeper water once it starts moving away from Florida around Jupiter. I think it starts turning east, and then you'll eventually end up in Europe and I guess
South
you
can see it on the charts, because when you look at just north of Jupiter, actually Jupiter is where the Acalina Bank starts to build further offshore, and that's really the outer contour of the Gulf Stream.
Right.
Does it go on the east or west of Bermuda?
It goes east of Bermuda, I believe.
So. Okay, so so then it's really going far out that way.
No. I think it goes west of
it and around, and then comes. Okay.
Yeah, it's west of. I'm sorry. Yes, it's west of Bermuda. Probably halfway between the mainland U.S. and Bermuda.
Bermuda. Okay, so it kind of hugs the U.S. up pretty good.
You can make it a tour. Or it might just be good to know, like if you're doing that trek up from the Florida Keys, like, hey, let's just prepare. Usually I'm focused more on who do we eat to survive, but maybe if you just lose power, where are we going to end up if we end up in the Gulf Stream? And maybe you have a clear idea already. Like, well, it's going to take us up by Bermuda, and then we're going to end up in the UK. And if we don't get picked up there, maybe it'll be Africa. Take your pick. So you can turn it into a excursion or a plan B or C. I guess, when, but see, I digress, Mike. I mean, I'm sure that never even crossed your mind. You were just happy about saving all the fuel costs, I assume.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
time,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. So I went further, got there faster, utilizing the Gulfstream. Years ago, there was a story of a boat that I don't know if it capsized, but somehow it was a small craft, like a 25 to 27 foot center console, and it was abandoned offshore somewhere down around Jupiter, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was found years later, like 3 years later, onshore up in somewhere near England,
Right.
up there, and it was full of barnacles and I don't remember exactly when that happened, but yeah, I mean those types of things. That's where it goes, right?
And it might be a good idea to kind of think about that when you're, it's just your little safety checklist kind of thing. Okay, if we're on the boat, we lose power, we're going to eat Barry. He's the biggest.
I don't think so.
Fat is flavor. And,
yes.
And then after that, we're going to end up in the UK, Bermuda, or maybe Africa.
Yeah. So I just pulled up a map of the Gulf Stream, and the Gulf Stream is actually much closer to the United States most of the way up. It actually gets close to the Carolinas again before turning away, past New York and further north, Nova Scotia and all that. But there are some branches that kind of peel off and turn back to the south, all the way up towards Portugal. And then it turns back to the north. The mainstream turns back to the north and kind of dead ends right into the British Isles. Which, by the way, that is a major factor in the British Isles. That's why it rains there all the time.
Yeah.
That warm water hitting that cold air.
Well, I mean, if you were just planning on doing a big ocean cruise, it would make sense to use the Gulf Stream to your favor. Wouldn't it?
If you're I wonder what the distance is at 4 knots. So if you were drifting, how many days would you
drifting
be at
aside?
Well, we have to know how much water you're going to need, and how do we divvy up Greg's body? Do we just nibble at it, or do we, or can we feast?
Well, you won't, because we'll have eaten you first.
It's
chicken legs.
It'll
first,
be down to me and Mike. So,
well, you can calculate the miles. I think it's 1.153 miles per knot, right?
Okay,
something like that.
So we can
calculate
the miles is the Gulf Stream from here to, say, England.
Oh, well, thousands.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need a lot of ice water and beers and.
Well, you're going to go through some rainstorm, so if you catch some water, you'll be okay.
Right, but the thing is, if you were to actually plan a trek like that, it would make sense to use the Gulf Stream to your advantage, just for fuel efficiency, speed, and everything else, just like it helped you.
Well, if it were 3,000 miles at 24 miles per hour per day, it would take 125 days. So,
okay,
that's a big beer cooler and a lot of sandwiches.
Yeah,
well,
and you
bring
can't
a fishing pole
much off of Greg, so
you bring a fishing pole. Man, so you got to supply yourself properly, and then then what you do, you like cut off appendages of Barry.
I wonder how the water's how
and,
deep the water is out there, and whether you can even catch anything.
What do you mean? Surely you could.
Well,
I've seen movies.
It's many thousands of feet deep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like you're going to bottom fish there.
Well, you don't have to bottom fish for everything. You could just troll.
Right. Well, to give you an idea, coming down, when I was closer to shore, the average depth was, maybe 150 feet at the most. But on my trip back, I was in 750 feet of water.
Yeah. And then you weren't even really into the big, deep part of the of that area, because it'll drop down to 2,000 feet between here and Bimini.
Yes, absolutely. So I wasn't that far off. No,
yeah.
I was
in the ocean. Yeah.
It's the difference between, coming down at 3 to 5 miles offshore and going up 10 to 12, maybe 15 a couple of times.
Right.
But that was mainly about 10 miles offshore.
Well, why would it matter, Barry? There's still fish in the deep ocean as well as the shallow ocean too.
I don't know. I've never been out in the middle of the ocean. You have, maybe.
Yeah.
If you've done one of those, ships that go across from England
well,
over
you just
to here.
troll. You just like you would do on any.
How do you troll if you no longer have engine power? Then you're just drifting with the rest of.
I did not say we would not have engine power. I said you would use the Gulfstream to your advantage, just like he did when he cruised up from the Keys.
How much fuel do you think you would need then?
Well, you wouldn't have to run your boat nearly as fast, so you could definitely stretch it much farther than you would without the benefit of the Gulfstream. That's what I'm saying. If you planned properly, that would be the way to do it. Is use
idle
the Gulfstream.
speed all the way to England.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting. We fish a lot off of Key Largo as well, and the Gulfstream cuts pretty close to Key Largo as it makes that turn towards the north.
Yeah.
When we are trolling to the southwest, and we're probably 30 miles offshore, when I'm looking at the chart, I'm essentially doing 0 miles. I'm literally sitting still in relation to the land. I'm not moving anywhere, but I'm moving through the water at 4 or 5 knots.
Right.
But then then we just decide to make a swing, and suddenly I'm doing 7, 8 at idle speed. So it's interesting to see that dynamic and realize how much water is actually moving through there.
Well, I see that when I go through bridges and the tide's going out and you're going against the tide. If you don't give it a little bit extra engine speed, you could just be stuck under that bridge. You're just fighting that water trying to get through there.
Right. But if you're fishing, that's the prime way to do it, because the Gulfstream's like flushing through under your vessel, including all the fish that are in the Gulfstream at that particular moment that you're trying to hook.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're going through bridges during those tidal changes, the big mistake I see boaters make sometimes is when they are judging their speed in relation to the bridge as they're approaching, and they're thinking they're going too fast. So they pull back and they go much slower. And, when you do that, you lose steerage. You need speed to actually maneuver your boat.
Right.
And so, when you're in a following sea going out an inlet, you actually have the right of way anyway, because you're supposed to move through.
Keep the power up, keep your steering in check, and you'll be okay. And I think we'll have to wrap it up with that little nugget on this week's edition of The Big Show. Till next time, remember, whether it is sail or motor,
life is better as a motor.
Safe boating, everyone.
Barnacle-bitten swab. World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.